Hello, Restaurant Coach Nation. Wow, Sunday, January 9th, 2022 already. I can't believe we're already into the new year and things are going crazy already. What's the big thing on everyone's topic right now? Omicron. Omicron is here. Okay, Omicron's here. What are we going to do about it? What we're going to do about it is we're going to get calm. We're going to stay focused. We're going to get a plan together. Today on the Restaurant Coach Nation, I want to share with you a kind of simple outline for an action plan for restaurants, how to deal with Omicron. If you could, real quick, in the chat, just kind of type where you're listening in from, where you're watching from. I always like to kind of get a feel for where people are tuned into. Where are you watching from around the world? I mean, we have thousands of members in the Restaurant Coach Nation. Also, this is also broadcasting simultaneously in the Restaurant Coach University platform. If you've not heard about the Restaurant Coach University is my #1 training platform where people get online training programs, online access to my private training library, where you have 24/7 access to some amazing content to help improve you, help improve your team, help improve your restaurant. Plus, we also do a live coaching session every month for 2 hours. We just did the last one was our 2-hour strategic planning workshop, which was last Sunday. If you've got a chance to see that, fantastic. If not, highly recommend checking out restaurantcoachuniversity.com. See if it works for you. If not, I'm kind of a low pressure kind of guy. So if you like it, jump in. If you don't like it, that's cool too. But we're going to jump into the Omicron action plan for restaurants. Right now, I'm going to say it's kind of a delicate time. All right. It's a delicate time for restaurants. A lot of people are feeling a little fragile. It's like, oh my God, I'm having deja vu. We're right back to where we were. 2020 is happening again. It's not that bad. All right. Yes. A lot of people are getting sick. I have to say, out of honesty, I probably have more people that have contracted COVID now than in the first go around. And it seems like the Omicron is a lot more kind of contagious. That's the bad news. Good news is, from what I've seen, a lot of people recover a lot faster from the Omicron variant. So that's good news in the sense. Seems like it's going to be kind of, I think it's going to be more fast and furious. Another thing I'm kind of projecting is that we haven't seen the last of COVID. I think we're living in a time when COVID is definitely going to be a part of our society. Just like any kind of virus, it's going to mutate and it's going to change and it's going to become a different variant. We had the COVID, at first, and then it turned into the Delta variant. Now we have the Omicron variant. And I'm sure that within a couple months, there'll be a new variant out there because that's what viruses do. They mutate and they change. And what we need to do in the restaurant industry, we need to be prepared for those changes. We also need to be able to shift our business models a little bit more. And here's the thing that a lot of my restaurants have learned, especially during coaching and in coaching hundreds and hundreds of restaurants during the COVID kind of shutdown of 2020 and getting people through last year, 2021. A lot of my clients have had the very best year they've ever had, highest profitability rates they've ever seen and actually some of them have seen higher profits last year than they've seen in the last 10 years. Because what we did is we started shifting our focus. When your sales volume changes, we have to shift our focus. And I'm going to give you kind of an action plan. This is actually a lot of the same things I've been doing with my clients in either Restaurant Coach University, Restaurant Masterminds, my program that is also a group accountability program, or my Restaurant Coach Accelerator. The Restaurant Accelerator program is my top of the line one-on-one coaching program. Hey, Vanessa. Hey, Leo. Man, you guys ever in El Paso? I mean, killer Mexican food. All right. Those guys rock it down in El Paso. So anyway, I digress. So as the Delta variant, changed things, Omicron's going to change things. Of course, the biggest thing I think now is not so much guests, not going to restaurants, but our teams are getting sick. And it seems like, the Omicron is kind of really taken a hit as far as the health of our team. And we find that we got a lot of people out on, sick because of the Omicron. Again, bad news is Omicron's very, very contagious, has a high kind of viral rate. But the good news is that people do recover a lot faster. So that being said, making sure to take extra precautions is going to be the biggest thing you can do. And also the biggest thing you can do is, again, don't freak out. Okay. Again, I think we are living in a virus, kind of a COVID world. And I don't mean that to seem as a negative or underplay it. COVID is very, very dangerous. Yes, it has taken a lot of people's lives. I'm not underplaying that. I'm also just kind of saying that we have to deal with the fact that it's going to be around. And we have to make adjustments. We have to make adjustments to our business model. We also have to make adjustments to how we staff. We also have to make adjustments to how we market. We have to make adjustments on how we look at our menu. And we especially have to look at how we make profits. That's the biggest thing I'm going to talk about today. All right. So if you haven't heard me before, if it's your first time tuning into the Restaurant Coach Nation, I know we have a lot of new people in the Restaurant Coach Nation, which is awesome. In fact, I highly recommend, if you love the Restaurant Coach Nation, please invite other people. The more the merrier. The Restaurant Coach Nation is my free platform on Facebook. It's for places like this. We're going to do training every Sunday at 3 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. During the winter months, I always try to get on Sundays and do some live training. I got some really cool stuff planned out for the next quarter. Really, really great stuff to help you to get your restaurant and your life to that level you can be. If you hadn't heard me before, I'm Donald Burns. I am known as the Restaurant Coach. I'm going to tell you right now that I've spent 40 years in the restaurant industry. Most of it has been as a chef. Some of it has been as a consultant. Some of it has been as an executive chef with Wolfgang Puck. I've also been like a corporate chef with some big, huge, major food service distributors like Shamrock Foods. And I'm telling you now, I've worked with, especially since I became the restaurant coach in 2009, I've worked with over 2,100 restaurants. And I don't say that to impress you, but to impress upon you. When you see that many restaurants, you see a lot of patterns. There's patterns to success and there are patterns to failure. My job as the coach is to help educate you on the patterns of success and hold you accountable so you don't make the same mistakes a lot of restaurants do make. So before we jump into this kind of secret, let's talk about an action plan, a really solid action plan to get us going in the right direction. I always recommend, anytime we do some training, have a piece of paper and a pen. Research has shown if you write stuff down in your own handwriting, you are 70% more likely to remember and retain the information 30 days from now. And again, please don't just sit there passively listening. I want you to have a little bit of fun. I know we're talking about kind of a serious topic today, but have some fun. Ask questions. That's what the comments for. That's what the chat's for. Ask questions as you see them come up. If I can answer them as they kind of pop up, that's great. If not, I can try to get to them later in the chat log. Okay? Again, take notes. Be an active participant. And a lot of times you're going to hear me say, sometimes I'm going to say this, I'm going to say hashtag WTSD. What does hashtag WTS mean? It means write this shit down. These are gold nuggets. These are the things I really want you to dial in on. So without further ado, let's jump into some fun stuff, shall we? Okay. I like to talk about this, and I like to talk about this especially when we're talking about a pandemic or a recovery plan for restaurants. I call this the Restaurant Freedom Pyramid. And if you look at this pyramid, anytime I go into any market, there's different classifications or growth levels for restaurants. And if you want to ask yourself, Donald, where really am I as far as this kind of this profit pyramid or this freedom pyramid? I'll tell you right now, you can easily go to, you can go to my website, therestaurantcoach.com. If you go to the top of the bar, you're going to see you can easily take what I call is the restaurant checkup. If you go to restaurantcheckup.com, you can also take the checkup too. Restaurantcheckup.com, you can take the checkup, or you can just go to my website, therestaurantcoach.com. At the front top bar, there'll be a button to take the restaurant checkup. And it'll actually tell you which classification or stratification you are as far as where your menu growth is, as far as your, not your menu growth, but your restaurant growth. So starting at the bottom, anytime I go into any market around the world, it's always the same. Doesn't matter if I'm in El Paso, Texas, I'm in Toronto, I'm in Madrid, I'm in Bogota, Colombia. There are basically 5 different levels. Okay. I usually focus on 4, but there's actually the 5th one, and I'll talk about today. The bottom level that we have right here, those are the bad restaurants or the struggling restaurants, and they make up about 20% of the market. Now, at this level, and actually at any level, I look at 3 different components. I look at profits. I look at the number of hours you're working. I look at your culture. And I'm telling you right now, struggling restaurants, they tend to lose money or break even. Okay. Let's be clear that breaking even should never be a business goal. If your goal is to break even, you need a better goal. I highly recommend you watch the replay from last week. It's about strategic planning and get some really, really big, audacious goals, what I call bags. Okay. Here at that struggling level, you're doing what you know, and that's working hard. And usually the owner is working 80 plus hours a week in their business, doing, what they feel is the best thing they can do is just keep working in their restaurant. It's hard to do better when you don't know better. That next level up is what I call the good category. And basically they're surviving. This is around 60% of any market. Now they usually make a small profit if you're lucky. The national average is 6% in the United States. The owners work around 60 to 80 hours a week. And at this stage right here, the surviving stage, I basically call this stage quicksand. And what do I mean by quicksand? Well, let's look at it this way. You're working in your restaurant and you think everything's going fine. You're having a good month. And then something goes wrong, like a walk-in cooler goes out. And then something else happens. Someone gives their notice, and then someone else gives their notice. And then you get some bad online reviews, and it seems like you get one bad thing just happens after another. And the more that happens bad, the more you fight back by using the only method you know how, and that's working harder and longer hours in your restaurant. And so you keep putting in more hours to try to fight these problems that keep popping up. And the more hours you fight in, right? You just keep going and going until you can't breathe, until you can't move. You can't think clearly because you're in basically over your head, just like in quicksand. The more you fight, the faster you sink, right? That next level up is what I call thriving restaurants. And this makes up around 15% of any market. Here, they make a decent profit, usually 7 to 15%. And basically, the owners are only working maybe 40 to 50 hours a week. The danger here, this is a big, huge danger for this thriving or great level, is you think you made it. And what happens when you think you made it is you take your foot off the accelerator and you rest on your achievements. Worst thing you can do is take your foot off the accelerator in a very, very competitive market like the restaurant industry. Complacency kills all brands. Hashtag write this shit down. Complacency kills all brands. And remember that success is never owned, it's rented, and rent is due every single day. Now that next level up, all right, that's a rare space where about 4.5% of any restaurants hit. I call this the driving range. Okay, this is what I call these restaurants. I call outstanding. What I mean by outstanding is they stand so far out in front of the competition, they don't really have competition. They drive the market. They make a great profit, 15% or higher. And the owners usually work 40 hours or less a week. Here's where you actually run your restaurant and it does not run you anymore. That's like the goal. How many times have you heard a consultant say, you need to work more on your business, less in your business? When you get to this level, is where you basically get a life back. And your restaurant runs at the level where you want it to be. You focus on developing your team more than ever. Leadership really flows. And that's what we call a leadership culture. Now, there is a 5th level, that small little bitty triangle, that orange triangle. Only 0.5% will ever hit that, and that's what I call legendary. Those are those brands that just don't compete anymore. They basically dominate. Other brands want to be them, or other brands want to partner with them. They get huge, they basically, they shift trends. They change industries. Those are like the French laundries, the, Chick-fil-A's of their brands, the In-N-Out burgers of their brands that basically dominate the market. And they actually are so far out, they just basically become what we call legendary. People want to emulate them. They want to be them. All right. Now, the other thing I like to look at, and I'm a huge believer in culture. In fact, my third book coming out this month is called Your Restaurant Culture Sucks. It's going to be the last of the kind of suck trilogy. My first book was Your Restaurant Sucks. Second book, Your Restaurant Still Sucks. Third book's going to be Your Restaurant Culture Sucks. And then I'm done with the suck series. It's going to be a trilogy. I'm done with it. Kind of like think of it as my kind of little trio, and then I'm done with it. But in this new book, I'm really focused and dialed in on culture, because I've really seen over the years, culture is the defining factor that separates the good, the great from the outstanding. And if you look at that culture pyramid, this kind of profit pyramid we have, this freedom pyramid, when you're struggling at that bad level, you have what I call a default culture. This is where the team runs the restaurant, but they run the restaurant their way. Now, next level up, you start actually realizing that I can't have them run the restaurant their way. I have to start doing some training. So we actually start developing what's known as a training culture at that good level. This is where you do the training on the front end. You do, that usually, I hate to say, it's usually the follow stuff. Follow Joey around for 3 days, do what he does, say what he says, and you'll be good. We have maybe some training manuals, right? But that next level up is where I try to get my clients. We always want to move up a level and maintain that level for longevity. So that next level, that thriving level, when you get to that great level, you actually start having what's known as a learning culture. Here, the object and the goal is to become 1% better each day than we were yesterday. Here's where we kind of embrace the kind of philosophy, the Japanese word of Kaizen, constant never-ending improvement. We're always learning. We're always developing. We're always training our team. We're always becoming better. This actually starts when you take a big interest in your own personal development to become a better leader, to become a better owner. When that happens, culture flows down, doesn't flow up, and we start seeing a learning culture develop. Now, that top level is what we all aim for, and that's that kind of leadership culture, right? This is where your team runs the restaurant, but they run it your way. Totally opposite of that bottom level. Culture, that bottom level, that struggling level, that bad level, they run the restaurant, but they run the restaurant their way. The top level, leadership culture, they run the restaurant, but they run the restaurant your way. So let's come up with a little action plan to help you kind of deal with Omicron. You know me, I'm a huge believer. All development starts with self-development, and that starts with you, my friend, adjusting your mindset. The biggest thing you can do when people start calling in, when you start getting a rampant kind of, when you start getting that kind of rampant, uptick in cases in your restaurant, and you see things kind of like starting to spiral a little bit, the number one thing I want you to do, I want you to keep calm. Everything is figure outable. For every challenge, for every problem you face, there is a solution, there is a tool. A lot of times, the reason that restaurant owners get stuck is because you don't have enough tools in your toolbox. You are very, very limited by the tools you have. I'm telling you right now, if the only tool you have in your toolbox is a hammer, every problem looks like a nail. And what do you do when every problem's a nail? You beat the crap out of it. That's not the way to go. You need to have more tools. One of the things I focus on in my coaching program is I focus on giving people lots and lots of tools. Now, is every tool right for you in your restaurant? Probably not. But what I do is I want to give you a lot of options, a lot of different tools. So then you can take that toolbox you have. Now you have a nice little variety of tools you can apply for the different challenges and the different things that are going to pop up in your restaurant. Because trust me, if you're a restaurant, you're going to have challenges. You're going to have problems. There's no restaurant in the world that doesn't have challenges, doesn't have problems. My goal is always, I just want you to have better problems, okay? I want you to have better challenges. I want you to have better problems. You can't escape them. You just want to basically get higher and get better problems. And the way you do that is by growing your toolbox, right? Give me options. Someone just said in the chat, give me options. Give me options. Yes, tools are the way to do that. You got to have better tools. One of the things I want you to recognize is fear is going to be a constant companion no matter who you are and what kind of restaurant you run. Especially with Omicron, it seems like, this whole COVID thing happens. We get a big wave, and then it seems to subside a little bit. Everyone starts feeling comfortable. And then we get another variant, And then, of course, the panic and fear pops in, and then it subsides a little bit. Everything seems to ease, and then we get another variant. And I'm telling you right now, this is the cycle you're going to see probably. Right? We got the Omicron right now. It's pretty heavy right now. We've seen a lot of people getting sick, a lot of people getting the Omicron. I mean, the other day, my girlfriend and I decided we want to go, we were going to get a COVID test. The line was 3 hours to get a COVID test. I mean, it's crazy, right? I mean, crazy. 3-hour line to get a COVID test. We just had one a little while ago when we went out of the country, and we had to get one before we left, and we had to get one coming back into the country. And it just seems like now everyone's like really just kind of, again, fear is escalating, right? What I want you to remember is that there's an acronym for fear. I always tell all my members in any of my coaching programs, the Restaurant Coach University, Restaurant Masterminds, the Restaurant Accelerator, my Elite 6 private coaching program. I always say this: fear is an acronym. Hashtag write this down. Fear stands for false emotions appearing real. Fear keeps many people immobilized and stuck. I mean, really, really stuck in situations where they know deep down they should change. Fear of the unknown is basically just a false prediction. Most of the things we fear never really quite happen or tend to unfold as dramatically as we kind of put them in our head, as we imagine them to be. It's true that your mind can quickly, very, very quickly, make a heaven out of hell and a hell out of heaven. It really depends on how you focus on it. What I want you to do is I want you to do this. I want you to examine it, okay? And I want you to focus in on what you can control. What can you control? Well, there's quite a few things you actually do control. You actually control your thoughts, your words, your actions. A lot of times when people are focused on fear, they're focused on negative context or negative things or negative reaction. One of the greatest quotes, I think, in the history of the world actually comes from William Shakespeare. I tell my clients this all the time. Hashtag write this one down, because I'm telling you right now, if you can understand this quote and understand the meaning of it, it will change your life. The quote is this: nothing is either good or bad, but thinking makes it so. It's from Shakespeare. Nothing is either good or bad, but thinking makes it so. Nothing has meaning until you attach meaning to it. An event could happen. Some people might think, oh my God, this is the end. Some people think this is just the beginning. It all depends on what you attach to it. If you're not happy with what your kind of thought process is, change your thought process. How do you do that? There's a lot of different ways. And I'm going to give you some strategies today to start thinking about how you can do that. Okay? Someone said the truth. Yes, I said this in my very first book. The truth will set you free, but first it will piss you off. So many times when we have these premonitions or these kind of, I hate to say this, like we have this crystal ball or Murphy, the mind reader kind of things in our head that we think we know what's going to happen. It's just a story we're telling ourselves. The biggest thing holding you back from getting the restaurant you want is the bullshit story you tell yourself of why you can't have it. Right? You got to drop the story. You got to find the truth. Right? I hear this all the time. No one wants to work anymore. There's no good people out there. It's not true. There are amazing people that want to work in restaurants. There are people that want to work and want to develop a career in the restaurant industry. The question you have to ask yourself is, why aren't they coming to you and asking to work with you? That's where we're going to get into a little strategic here, a little strategy. All right. So let's get into a little bit of strategy about how you can control some of this stuff. The thing you got to always know is that with strategy, sometimes comes very, very hard decisions. The truth is out there. The truth will set you free. It will piss you off. And it will challenge you at times to question your values, question your mission, your vision, why you do what you do. Okay. Every time something pops up, every time a variant pops up, every time this thing happens, every time there's more restrictions or new restrictions or different states impose new restrictions, it changes people. It changes their beliefs. It changes their perceptions. It changes how they kind of look at the world. What I want you to remember is you need to change with those times. You need to look at the world with different lenses on. Now, before a lot of this stuff happened, a lot of times our decisions were based around money. Moving forward, the best restaurants out there, the restaurants that are going to really stand out, become outstanding, are going to be concerned about money and always keep the top, the bottom line in focus, but they're going to actually work on building the top line. In what we call P&L management, there's two schools of thoughts. There's top line management, bottom line management. A lot of people, out there, a lot of consultants, a lot of these restaurant gurus will have you focus on the bottom line, especially when the economy contracts. Cut, save. Right? I always want you to be aware of this. You want to always be spending the majority of your time as an owner or an operator building the top line. And I want to have my team focused on controlling the bottom line. How do I do that? Focus on the top line. Focus on the top line by building my sales, building my marketing, building my guest check average, building certain KPIs I want to focus on, key performance indicators, building certain things that actually have an impact on bringing in new business, right? And then I have my team focus on the bottom line, focus on those things that control food cost, focus on portioning, focus on waste, focus on production, focus on discounts and comps. How can we eliminate those things? Focus on some of those little P&L line items that actually start, reaping or actually kind of crawling into our profitability, like linen cost. Oh my God, those things are out of control sometimes. Right? There's some good news. If you've been in business now, someone says more sales is always a solution. Okay, I'm going to kind of challenge that a little bit. I'm going to say sales are a good solution, but actually profits are the best solution. And I've had restaurants that contact me. I've had restaurants that do $3 million a year in sales and they break even. So let me put this challenge out there. What would you rather have? Would you rather have a $3 million restaurant doing 1% profit, or would you rather have a $1 million restaurant doing 15 to 18% profit? Go ahead. I'll wait. $3 million restaurant making 1% profit, or a $1 million restaurant doing 18% profit? Which would you rather have? See, this is where mindset changed a lot of people. A lot of people think sales, sales, sales. I say profit, profit, profit. Sales hides a lot of sins. And one of the biggest things I think we can take away from 2020 and 2021 is that you had, especially with people that were doing a lot of sales, you had a lot of sins happening in your restaurant. You made a lot of mistakes as far as how you managed the P&L that you didn't notice until the sales took a big hit. All right. Please do not be so sales obsessed that you're not profit obsessed. I want you to be profit driven. Focus on the bottom line. It's not how much you make, it's how much you keep. Right? You got to be prepared. The next thing I want you to do is I want you to understand in our action plan, we got to take immediate action. We got to start making some things happen. Someone said in the chat, $3 million doing 50%. Yeah. If you're one of my clients in one of my membership groups, I would tell you right now, and this is no exaggeration, my average member of my coaching programs average 18% or higher. I have some clients actually right now during the pandemic doing 28, 30%. It can be done with the right action plan. So, how do we take some immediate action? First thing you want to do is you want to start getting on social media, but you want to get on social media the right way. Don't get on social media just to post. I hate to say, stop posting boring shit. Stop posting boring stuff about your food. Start posting more about your culture. Start posting more about what you're doing to get through all of this. Talk about, as these new restrictions or new things come out or new variants come out, and they're going to keep coming out. Trust me, Omicron's just the third. It'll be probably another 5, 6, 10 different variations of this thing, variants. You want to make sure that you're always constantly posting, that you're taking time to actually talk about what you're doing to make sure people are staying safe. I would suggest this. When you're posting about staying safe, always put your team in probably the first perspective of it. Always say that out of an abundance of caution, we are doing this and this and this with our team to protect our team and also protect our guests. All right. Someone's in the chat. I've been super transparent on social and people love it. Yes, people love transparency. People love authenticity. People love it when you tell them what's going on and what you're doing. How are you protecting them? I'm telling you right now, if you would take 50% of those posts that you're putting up about your food and your drinks, which are amazing pictures, by the way, I'm telling you, I've seen most people's, I follow a lot of social media and I follow a lot of people, a lot of restaurants on social media. Beautiful, beautiful pictures of food. Show me a little bit more about your culture. Show me a little bit about what you're doing to take care of your team, to protect your team, and also what you're doing to go above and beyond to protect your guest. Show me those things. Be super, super clear, super, super big in your messaging. And one of the things you'll see is and I love these kind of posts I see, is people showing, people cleaning stuff, hey, binge watch a series, hey, deliver to your door, remind people of what you have available. Show people taking extra precautions. Show people, show your team maybe going and getting COVID tests or something like that. Whatever you want to do, but be out there showing me a little bit more of your culture and showing me the steps you're taking. Okay, please. Extra precautions. Again, we go back to this kind of stuff about using paper menus if you need to. Going back to freestanding hand sanitizer at the door. Take out a few tables if you need to. This isn't about your comfortable level. It's what your guests feel comfortable with. You might have to reduce your hours, cut out slow periods. I know people hate to hear that, but especially if your team's been sick a lot lately, you're going to have to probably cut a day maybe. How many people have experienced their team being so sick or not having enough staff that you had to close some extra days over this last week or two because the team just basically don't have enough team? I've seen quite a few people. I know I have quite a few clients that have had to close some extra days this week because the team just basically had a huge kind of ramped up cases of Omicron in their restaurants, and they had to close some extra days. Don't be afraid. Okay. Be transparent. Tell people what's going on. But also tell them that you're very, very serious. Also, please promote. Get out of your comfort zone. Most restaurants dabble. And when I say this, when I say promoting, I'm going to change that word from promoting. I'm going to say marketing. Most restaurants post on social media. Very few restaurants market. And what do I mean by market? I mean actively having a marketing campaign where you have a clear agenda about what you're promoting, when and where. All right. Yeah, someone said we close Mondays due to short staff, so we can also give an extra day off. See, that's awesome. See, that's perfect. Until and here's the thing, promote that. Hey, we're giving we notice our team just getting a little tired, a little burned out. We want to make sure we're doing this stuff. These are some restaurants I've seen on the internet. Hey, we're kind of switching. We have discounts on delivery. We're doing offering $5 off on caviar orders, whatever. 10% off on pickup orders. Complimentary emergency to people. Whatever you want to do. Just get creative about how you want to promote some of this stuff. Okay. And also, please don't post pictures of empty restaurants. That's the most depressing thing you can do. And I see this all the time. And I had to say, most people have this on their website. They have a beautifully designed website, and the first picture on their website is an empty restaurant. Please, for the love of all that's sacred, take down those empty pictures of your restaurant. No one wants to see an empty picture of a restaurant. I do not care if you had a famous designer design your restaurant. Please post pictures more like this, where you have people in your operations. Post pictures like this. These are the ones you want to post. You want to post people having a good time, people in your restaurant, living, enjoying. Post pictures like this, please. Someone said in the chat, our operating hours are already pretty limited to 5 mornings a week. We have a limited menu and 2 due to lack of staff that day. Yep. And we'll talk about your menus here in a second. Okay. Now, let's have that little heart-to-heart talk. Let's talk about when things like this happen. I want to talk about your C players. It's time to cut loose the poor performers. I know you're trying to be a nice person. I know you're trying to give people an opportunity. You're trying to give people a chance. Let's talk about all these New Year's resolutions. And I'm going to tell you the number one thing most restaurant owners think they can do. Most restaurant owners think they can change people. Did you know only 8% of people who set their New Year's goals actually achieve them every year? And most people drop their New Year's resolutions or New Year's goals by January 14th, which is conveniently only about a week away. If you can't change yourself, what makes you think you can change other people? Hashtag write this down. People do not change for your reasons. They only change for their own reasons. And it has to be a really damn good reason why they have to change. Culture is the biggest thing you can do. And I'm going to tell you right now, A players don't like C players. Why do A players don't like C players? Because they're lazy. And C players don't like A players because they make them look lazy, which they are. Okay. And here's the thing I can tell. If you ever want to think about us, what is kind of like my definition of what a C player is, here's my definition of a C player. A C player is someone who, like, they're kind of a roller coaster of performance, up and down, up and down. Just when they're at that bottom and you think, oh my, that's it. I can't handle it anymore. I can't stand it. I'm going to get rid of them. They pull a rabbit out of their hat and all of a sudden they're on that uptick and they're doing great. And you're thinking, oh my God, they've changed. They turned around. They're a great person again. I knew they could do it. And then they get up to the top and then all of a sudden they go back down again because the pressure's off. The thing about C players is that they only up their performance when the pressure's on. And they can sense when you're probably pretty pissed off or you're about to get rid of them. So the thing you got to understand is that C performance are like a roller coaster up and down. If you want to get off this drama roller coaster you have and the anxiety you have and the stress you have, dump the C players. So if I dump the C players, Donald, I'm not going to have enough staff. That goes into my thing. I tell all my clients there's 4 things you should always be doing. Hashtag write this down. You should always be recruiting. You should always be training. You should always be marketing. And you should always be improving. You need to always be improving yourself. Culture flows down. It does not flow up. That all starts with you. Restaurants become better. Hashtag write this down. Restaurants become better when the people in them become better people. When I'm talking about active recruiting, what I'm talking about is twice a week, you should be spending 20 minutes on Indeed or LinkedIn actively searching for people. Most people do not recruit. When I talk about that, is this the same thing I talk about marketing? Most people post on social media. They don't actively market. When you're recruiting, you're actually getting on Indeed. You're actually using a professional account where I can actually search for resumes. I'm looking at people's resumes on Indeed. I'm pre-screening them. I'm like, oh, I like this person. Oh, that person doesn't look like a good fit. When I find someone I'm liking, I actually send them an email through Indeed saying, hey, I saw your resume here on Indeed. Not sure if you're looking to make a change, but I'm actively growing my team here in the Scottsdale area, I would love to talk to you if you had 20 minutes. Okay. You got to do actively recruiting. You have to actively look for people. Think about it like this. If you only post up a job ad, and here's my whole philosophy about job ads. Job ads are passive. And that's where most people will say, oh, there's no good people out there. Well, what are you doing for recruiting? Well, nothing really. I mean, I'm putting up job ads. I'm putting up job ads on Craigslist and Indeed. Well, if you're just putting up job ads, you're just you're taking whatever comes your way. And I'll tell you right now, you're probably not getting very much as far as top talent. Another thing you always got to remember, top talent doesn't last on the market very long because they're top talent. A players go pretty quick. An A player, if they left a restaurant today, they would have a job by tomorrow because there's no lack of jobs in the restaurant industry. A players find jobs fast. You want to be actively recruiting all the time. And this goes not only for online actively recruiting, but also when you're out and about. You have interactions probably with 20 to 30 people in an average day if you're out of your restaurant. At the grocery store, at retail stores, at the gym, you run into people all the time. But here's what happens. You don't actively recruit. You see these people and they got really great personalities, but you don't actively do anything. Someone in the Facebook group just mentioned here, they started doing some active recruiting yesterday. Actually talked to a guy that helped me a couple of times at another restaurant, gave him my card to talk if he's interested. Yes, you should always have your business card. Now, I know it's COVID season and a lot of people don't like business cards. That doesn't mean you should not have. I use an app called Link, L-I-N-Q, because L-I-N-Q, it's called Link. And what Link does, and I'll show this real quick. What Link does, it gives me a digital card on my phone with a QR code. So a lot of times when I meet people, I'll show the QR code. Hey, do you have your phone? Here, just take a picture of my QR code. It has all my information on here. Link is really cool. It has like videos, it has link to my podcast, my books. It's pretty cool stuff. It's a great way. If you don't want to have a digital, like an old-fashioned business card, have a digital business card. And when you see someone, and I'll give you a great example. I'm at a retail store. I'm at the Gap. I see the salesperson, really, really attention to detail, folding the t-shirts, super, super precise. I see him interacting with the customers. Hey, anything I can do to help you? What are you here for today? Anything you need? Any color suggestions? Anything I can help you with sizes? Please let me know. My name's Ryan. I'll be right over here if you need anything. I mean, person's really, really great with people. That's a perfect person for hospitality. So I walk up to him, hey, Ryan, man, you're really, and I always give him a compliment. And you're really, really great with people. I'm not sure if you're looking to make a change, but man, you'd be a really, really great person for my restaurant. Have you heard of my restaurant? I asked him about the restaurant. Oh no, I've heard of it, but I haven't, have you ever been there? Oh no. Hey, listen, here's what I want you to do. Hey, Ryan, you got your phone with you real quick? Take a picture of my digital card. Hey, why don't you come down next week, have lunch on me. And if you got 10, 15 minutes, I'd love to talk to you about maybe some opportunities I have going forward in my restaurant. See if you might be a good fit. That's all you got to do. You do that a couple times a week. I'm telling you, you only need a few A players to set yourself up for massive success. Most of the time we have a bunch of C players. Here's the thing you got to understand. It takes twice as many C players as it does A players. This goes back to what I call limiting beliefs. A lot of times I'll ask somebody, and that's right in the chat right away. What's the most you would pay an hourly line cook? What is the most you would pay a person for an hourly line cook position? Real quick, what would you pay? What's the max you would pay for an hourly line cook position? Now, when I ask a lot of my clients this, I usually get around, I would say the average is around $15, $16, $17 an hour. That's usually the average I get. Okay? It depends. But no time I say, hey, what was the max you would pay for an hourly line cook? Right? A lot of times people say, $17, $18 max. All right. Then I'll throw out, hey, would you pay? All right. So let's just say you pay $17. Let's just say you'd pay $17 max for a line cook, right? $17 max. And then I ask them, would you pay $25? Oh, no way. $25, way too much. No way I'd pay $25. All right, well, let's say you got two 17-hour line cooks, and let's say they're C players. Here's the thing you got to understand about C players. It takes twice as many C players to do the work of one really badass A player, one beast, right? So even if you pay $15 an hour, I need two C players. That's $30 an hour. Now I'm paying $30 an hour, where if I played one A player $25 an hour, number one, I'd stand out in the market as paying way above what everyone else pays. Also, I get really, really top talent that is not going to leave me for a buck down the street. How many times have you had somebody leave your restaurant for $1 or $2 to go down the street and work at another restaurant? If you've ever lost someone else to another competitor who came in and poached you, and I've lost people when I had my restaurants. I lost people. I got poached a couple times in the very beginning. And you know what? I was pissed off at the other restaurant for poaching my team. But then I realized I was focused on the wrong thing. I was pissed off at the other person when what I should have been pissed off is at myself for not building a culture that made me unpoachable. That's what I want you to focus on in 2022. I want you to focus on creating a culture and creating a team experience that makes you unpoachable. And that's going to require you to do some active recruiting and really, really dig down into your culture. If you really want to dig into your culture, the best thing to do, in my new book, I talk about how to build a culture that is outstanding. And one of the things you got to do is right off your bat, you got to focus in on what we call as the Triad. The Triad is your mission, core values, and vision. Your why. If you don't know why you do it, why would anybody follow you? And then another thing you got to look at too is, remember, sometimes you're going to have to actively close down some days. I'm a huge believer in the 5-day work week. I'm a huge believer in the 5-day work week. I know some restaurants say, I got to be open 7 days. That's cool. I understand if you feel you have to be open 7 days. I also am a huge believer in the 5-day work week for one simple reason, is that with a 5-day work week, I can run one strong A team 5 days. Everyone gets 2 days off. They all get refreshed, recharged, and then they come back, hit hard for 5 days. Number 3, I need to shift your focus. Shift your focus, people. How do we shift our focus? A couple ways, right? Changing business models, the market change, you need to change. What do I mean by that? Some states are enforcing restaurants to check vaccination cards of their guests that dine in their restaurants. When that happens, you got to change some things again. Sometimes you're going to have to shift back to, go back to those old business models of pickup and to-go orders. I know a lot of times we didn't have that kind of revenue stream. And then when COVID happened and shut down restaurants, a lot of people went to dine, pick up and to-go only. And then when they eased up and stuff like that, we went back to in-dining. People stopped doing a lot of that stuff. You might need to be able to pick up that stuff again. You also might need to pick up maybe contactless service, no contact pickup. I see this a lot of places now. I see it like at Chipotle. A lot of restaurants now have contact pickup or no contact pickup. Some people are going back to third party. I'm not a huge fan of third party, but I understand that sometimes it's a necessary evil. Another thing I need to do about shifting your mindset is go back to your costing. Remember, if you don't know your numbers, you do not know your business. In fact, you don't have a business. What you have is a hobby, a very, very expensive hobby. How many people have costed out their menu in the last 6 months? If you've not costed out your menu in the last 6 months, here's what I want you to do. I want you to take your left hand out, take your right hand, smack it, and say, bad owner. You need to cost out your menu. And there's tons of tools out there. Talk about tools in your toolbox. There's tons of easy to use tools. There's costing programs like Toast has one called Extra Chef. There's Kpis is a great one. There's Filet. Get Filet is another great costing program. Very, very economical, very, very easy to use. But you got to know your numbers. You've not cost out your menu. That will be on my priority list right now. Dig in and know your numbers. Another thing is dig into certain KPIs. Okay. Certain KPIs are fantastic. And if you really want to go from that, from that good to great range, I can honestly say that profitability has to be your number one focus. There are certain key performance indicators, or KPIs, that are critical to the modern restaurateur. And if you really want to win the restaurant game, you're going to have to really focus in on some KPIs. So what the hell is a KPI? I'll give you a straightforward answer. A KPI is any piece of data that can be measured and can be compared to an objective. Now, fair warning, not all KPIs are equal. There's a great quote out there by William Bruce Cameron, and this quote is a fantastic one. It says, "Not everything that counts can be counted, and not everything that can be counted counts." It's important to track your numbers. Okay? Tracking your numbers is the difference between just getting by and getting ahead. Now, before you throw out the excuse, which I hear from a lot of people, "I'm just too busy. I'm just too busy to monitor my KPIs." Remember, if you don't know your numbers, you don't have a business. What you have is a hobby, very, very expensive hobby. And with all these different variants coming up, the landscape of the restaurant business is changing. You cannot afford not to stay on top of your KPIs. Okay. Some of the KPIs I really look at a lot, that you should look at on a weekly basis, if not a daily basis, is number one, I look at my prime cost. Prime cost is a great indicator, basically like a scorecard. If your prime cost is 65 or higher, you're bleeding. The higher up, 70, 75, 80, 90%, you're bleeding out even faster. Now, don't feel bad if you've ever felt like, "Oh my God, my prime cost is out of control and I'm just bleeding out, hemorrhaging." I've had clients start in my coaching programs that had 90. I've had one person had 134% prime cost. I mean, hemorrhaging rapidly. A year later, running a 55% prime cost, making tons of profit, 18 to 20% profit now. Really, really doing well. Remember, awareness precedes choice, choice precedes change. When you're aware of it, you can make better choices. When you make better choices, you get better results. So one thing I look at is prime cost. Another one, if I look at a lot, is guest check average. That is a great one to track and also to improve. Remember, it's one thing to track the data. It's another thing to have an action plan to improve the data. A lot of people come, "Oh, my prime cost, my food cost is 43%. I don't know what to do." Well, there's a lot of things we can do. "My labor cost is 36%. What do I do?" There's a lot of things we can do. Remember, you just need more tools in the toolbox to fix it. More options. So I look at guest check average, prime cost, guest check average. Another one I look at my discounts and comps. There's another great little area on your POS system that you can actually track, and you can see where a lot of that money is going to. A lot of money is thrown down the toilet by not measuring and managing my discounts and comps. Huge, huge thing. I have a whole training on that in my Restaurant Accelerator and also my Mastermind program about which discounts and comps you should look at. But those would be the 3 KPIs I look at all the time. Okay. Liz mentioned, she says, "I thought about selling desserts at breakfast. It's not commonplace." Oh, yeah, you could sell pastries, though, that fill that gap and actually boost guest check average. Perfect. Or if you got people coming in for that late breakfast, early lunch, one of the huge things you always want to think about is that afternoon snack market out there. The afternoon snack market is a multi-billion-dollar industry that most people who work in offices tend to go down to either a vending machine in their office, or they tend to go to a convenience store and usually grab some cookies or some sugar or some candy or an energy drink or some coffee. If you have something you could offer in the mornings that people could take as a snack for the afternoon, that would fill that void. Okay. Remember, the restaurant business is about pennies and watching the details. You want to take your P&L and you want to put every line item on your P&L under a microscope. One of the things I have all my clients doing, which they're not happy with, But at the beginning of the year, we always do annual budgets. So I'm having everyone dig into their P&Ls and then do an annual budget. And I'm having them go down line by line on their budget items for the year, because I'm telling you right now, there's a lot of little easy, low-hanging fruit you could pick up. I had someone just the other day, just by going through their budget sheet and their P&L, we found 16% that could be added to their bottom line. What would 16% do to your restaurant? For some people, that's a game changer, adding 16% to your bottom line. That's the difference between being, struggling and surviving to actually going to thriving and driving. 16% in a 45-minute call, just by looking at some numbers. Easy to do if you know what to look for. Okay. Easy to do if you know what to look for. Another thing I want you to do is I want you to take your menu apart, and I want you to put your menu under a microscope. Now, I do a whole complete extreme menu makeover workshop in my accelerator program. But just briefly, what you want to do is take your menu apart. The things I would look at, low-hanging fruit. I would look at how many stations am I jamming up on my menu? So I take a typical menu and I'm going to put some items on there. I'm going to put like this. These items come off saute. These come off grill. These come off pantry. Typical kind of line setup. And then I'm going to add up the numbers and see where am I kind of jamming up my line. I've seen this in Italian restaurants a lot. But the owner creates this really, really killer menu. And then they don't understand, how come we get jammed up on Friday and Saturday night and it seems like we're getting hour ticket times? Well, when you do a menu analysis and just look at a station analysis, you see that they got 25 items on the saute, 4 on the grill, and 7 on pantry. Yeah, the saute guy's getting killed, especially if you only got like a 4-burner or a 6-burner. Okay. Revamp your menu. Take it apart. Put it back together. Make sure you don't have items that are competing, what we call menu cannibalization. Having 8 different burgers on your menu, you might think is great options for people, but it also cannibalizes the sales of certain items, especially if you have a couple items or a couple burgers on your menu that are super high kind of cost. They are killing your profitability. Better to take those items off your menu, offer a few of your home runs. And I use this analogy a lot. The Rolling Stones recorded 450 songs total in their career. But when you go to a Stones concert, you don't want to hear 450 B-side pieces, things that you don't even know, unless you're a super, super, Stone fan. You want to hear the greatest hits. Same thing about your menu. Your menu should be a representation of your greatest hits, the things you know without a doubt your team can knock out of the park every single time. That should be on your menu, especially when things get tight. Staffing gets tight. I got to reduce my team numbers. I got to make sure I have my menu controllable. Your menu should be 3 things at all times. It should be approachable. That means the guest should understand what's on your menu. Don't talk down to them. Make it approachable to your demographic and psychographic. It should be containable. That means my team should be able to execute it. And it needs to be profitable. 3 things every menu needs to be: approachable, containable, profitable. Hashtag write that down. Boom. Right. And again, eliminate those C players. You got to get rid of those C players. I know you feel for them. I know you got some sympathy for them. It's better to have empathy over sympathy as an owner or leader. Okay. And then number 4, I'm going to wrap this up pretty quick here. Number 4, make sure you're taking time for self-care. I'm a huge proponent and preacher of self-care. All my clients know. Every time they have to do a 515 report every week, and one of the things I ask them, what's the 3 things you're going to do for self-care this week? Businesses get better when they become better people. That starts with you being a better person by taking care of yourself. The hospitality industry is one where we give to others. Who gives to you? And it all starts off with gratitude. Gratitude changes everything in your life. All right. I know there's times when things look really dark, but the one thing that's always got me through dark times is developing an attitude of gratitude. Right? If you have your health, be grateful. If your family is healthy, be grateful. If you have love in your life, be grateful. If you woke up this morning, I'm telling you, be grateful. Right? If you have the determination to see this through and to make adjustments and to change, be grateful. Gratitude changes everything. Hashtag write that down. Vanessa said a 515 report. 515 report is a report. It's a PDF I send out to all my clients, have to do every Sunday. And it gives me a list. It's kind of a summary of what happened last week. What were your accomplishments? What were your challenges? What are your things you're grateful for? What are your 3 things for self-care? And also, what are the 3 things you're going to work on this week? We call it the big 3. There's always 3 things we're working on every week. If you'd like a copy of the 515 report, I can send you a PDF. Email me at donald@therestaurantcoach.com and I'll send you a copy. Just put in the subject line 515 PDF and I'll send you a copy of the 515. But all my clients have to do it every week, every Sunday. They have to do a 515 report. That's a lot of 515s. Trust me, I probably have like 70 clients right now. So that's a lot of 515s I have to review. But I love it. And it really helps me kind of dial in really where to help you, where you get stuck at, what solutions you need. And now, so when I see your challenges and what things you're facing each week, I can easily recommend the right tools for you. Remember, it's never a lack of resources. It's a lack of resourcefulness. Right. Now, I'm a big believer in meditation. Please don't freak out. Hear me out before you say, oh my God, he's getting woo-woo. Every time a variant happens or a new variant comes out in the market, trust me, your stress level escalates. Meditation allows you to focus better. It reduces stress and it lowers blood pressure. These are clinically proven things that it does. Also helps you sleep better. There are quite a few great apps out there that I highly recommend. One is Calm. One is Headspace. There's another one I love lately that actually is a really, really great one. It's called Flow Lab. I also use an app called Breathonics, Breathonics. It's a breathing app. I love that stuff. I'm a huge believer in meditation. There's quite a few apps. If you watched the strategic planning one last week, I gave a couple of the apps I use, a couple of things I use to kind of help me kind of amp up my performance levels that really help me stay on top of everything. All right. But meditation, and I'm going to give you this challenge. Here's a New Year's challenge for you. I want you to at least give it a try. For the next 30 days, download an app like Calm or Headspace. Or I love this app called Muse, and there's a sensor you can get, or Flow Lab. And just do 5 minutes a day for the next 30 days. I swear to God, if you do 5 minutes a day for the next 30 days, you're going to feel like a wholly different person. Okay. Another thing I'm a huge believer in is journaling. I'm a huge believer in journaling. One of my favorite apps is called 5 Minute Journal. It's a downloadable app available on iPhone, also on Android. It takes me 5 minutes to do a little journaling. It asks me what I'm grateful for. It asks me what I'm going to do to set my day up for success. What can I do? It gives me a mantra for the day. It's a great, easy to do app. Journaling helps get a lot of those negative thoughts that are running through your head, rampant, gets them out of your head, gets them on paper where you can deal with them. We all have self-talk. Trust me, what you say to yourself on a daily basis really has an impact on who you become. Get those things out of your head, get them on paper, and expose them for what they are. It's just fear acting up. The biggest thing about fear is just needs to be acknowledged. Okay. It doesn't have to be acted on. It has to be acknowledged. Fear just wants to be recognized. That's like everything else. And also, you got to take some time to improve your self-education. There's a common saying that leaders are readers. I believe that 100%. If you haven't read my books, Your Restaurant Sucks, Your Restaurant Still Sucks, Outstanding Mindset, all available on Kindle, all available in paperback. Also, if you're not a big reader, they also are available in audiobook on iTunes and also on Audible. No reason you can't listen to something educational and improve yourself. I would say all my friends that are probably really highly, highly successful people are all very, very adamant about taking time each day to improve themselves by reading. It's a habit that's going to help you keep your edge. Crack open a book, right? And hint, if you need a couple of suggestions, I have some great ones. Also, another thing, Again, if reading is not your thing, there's tons of podcasts out there you can listen to. Right? I have over 700 titles on my Audible account. I listen to audiobooks all the time. My friends and my girlfriend makes fun of me because like if I'm like driving, I'm not listening to music. I'm listening to something educational. It's going to make me a better person. Remember, restaurants get better when the people in them become better people. That starts with you becoming a better person. Another thing you can do is get a mentor. One thing that changed my life was when I got a business coach in my first restaurant. He actually saved my restaurant. I knew how to run a restaurant, but I didn't know how to build a business, how to build a profitable business, and how to build a brand. Getting a mentor changed all that. Another thing you can do is join a mastermind group. Okay. The biggest boost in my business came when I joined a mastermind group years ago. It increased my business. No, I'm no exaggeration here. It increased my business 10 times. I still belong to 2 mastermind groups. I still have a business coach to this day. And why? Because they're powerful, powerful tools that help me become better. Okay. Great thing about having a mastermind group is they're very, very powerful because you have a list of other people you can network, especially like we have restaurant masterminds, which is just restaurant owners only. It's a great, powerful, powerful group to bounce ideas off. We have a group chat, a group thread, text thread that everyone's on, and they ask questions all the time, and they get great, great feedback. They get great input. They get great options, great tools. Like people might say, "Hey, what's a loyalty program you recommend?" And everyone will chime in. It's really, really great way. Masterminds are super, super powerful. You've never been in a mastermind group, you owe it to yourself to be at least in a mastermind group. Even if you don't get a coach, at least start off with a mastermind group. And today, many mastermind groups are online. We have our mastermind group twice a week. We have a call on Monday, which is educational, and we have a Q&A call every Thursday. Some mastermind groups only meet every other week. I'm a big believer in momentum, so my mastermind group meets every week, twice a week. Monday is educational. Thursday is Q&A. Another thing I want you to do is to work out. You know you should take better care of yourself, but remember, we don't get our shows. We get what we must have. You have to make working out a must so you can have the energy you need, right, to elevate your culture. One of the things I'm a huge believer in is that culture and energy are symbiotic. Culture is energy, and energy is everything. Weak people with poor health always finding an excuse why they can't work out. You need to develop a habit to take time. And I don't care. It's not, you don't have to become a gym rat and live 2 hours at the gym, but you need to go at least go for a walk. All right. Get your heart rate elevated a little bit. There's tons of things you can do, but working out is a priority. Another thing I want you to do is I want you to limit your kind of fake news. And I know there's a lot of stuff out there about fake news. Read reputable kind of online stuff. The ones I recommend for restaurants is I recommend either Nation's Restaurant News, Restaurant Business Online, or Foodable TV. I stay away from mainstream media for a reason. It's so negative. It just seems to instill this kind of panic and fear in people. Stay away. Give yourself kind of a news diet, per se, especially in this new year. Stay reputable. Stay with stuff that stick with facts and figures and stuff like that. Again, Nation's Restaurant News, I love. Restaurant Business Online, Foodable TV, all the ones I highly recommend. To beat Omicron or any other variation is coming, remember, we got to be able to make changes. We got to be willing to make changes. We have to be willing to adapt. If we're not willing to adapt, trust me, we're screwed. Okay? Have to be able to adapt. Hashtag, write that down. Here's the thing I want you to know. This situation will change. It always does. And when it does, how you position your restaurant now will be the driving factor, whether you're thriving or surviving moving forward. Again, hey, thanks for showing up today for the Restaurant Coach Nation. I appreciate everyone being here, for being on the call. The replay will be available in the Restaurant Coach Nation. Make sure to take notes. If you have any questions, if I didn't answer your questions on the chat today, you can always email me at donald@therestaurantcoach.com. All right, I'm more than happy to help you out. If whatever I can do to help you get the restaurant and life you desire. Remember, my goal is to help you build your brand, strengthen your team, and increase your profits. Whatever I can do to help you reach that goal is my mission, and I want to serve you and help you become better. So until next week, 3 o'clock Mountain Standard Time, Restaurant Coach Nation, I got some really cool stuff next week, but you got to show up to see what it is. Have a fantastic week. And remember to aim for outstanding, because anything less is a waste of your potential.